So I checked out Mufasa, the Lion King. This is the origin story of Mufasa, how he went from a stray cub to a Lion King, his relationship with an adoptive brother named Taka, who will eventually become Scar. And there has been a lot of pre-hate around this movie, from why do we need this to it still looks awful to looks bland. So I went in with an open mind. I really enjoyed the 2019 Lion King movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. Is it as good as the original Lion King? Absolutely not. There's nothing that will ever be able to touch that in a million years. But I think what Jon Favreau did with that movie was okay. I think he added some new things here and there while also being a shot for shot remake for fans or newcomers of this franchise. So I really enjoyed what they did with that film. Going into Mufasa, the Lion King, I was not really all that excited, mostly because I'm not the biggest fan of prequels. We know exactly where these characters end up, but sometimes it changes the way you see the original films and maybe will enhance your appreciation just a little bit more. And seeing how this was directed by Barry Jenkins, who directed the Oscar award winning Moonlight, there was some interest in this movie just by the name alone. And I don't think it's as bad as everybody makes it out to be. It could have been a little bit better, but honestly, I just thought this movie was mediocre at its finest. What they do with Mufasa and his origin story, it kind of makes you hate Mufasa in the original Lion King just because of the events that happen in this movie. There are some things here and there that I thought was charming. Some of the visuals here and there are a bit of a step up from the 2019 film. I think they took some of the criticisms from the 2019 film and just added a little bit more emotions to the lion. They do emote here and there sometimes so you can see what they're actually feeling and you're able to get investedly hooked. The issue with this movie is that I just really wasn't invested in the story overall. And I could see the building blocks for a very interesting movie. When you strip out the music and the non-linear storytelling, because this movie does bounce back from present day with Kiara and Timon, Pumbaa, and Rafiki, and we bounce back in time to Mufasa and Taka, and that storytelling for me sometimes works, other times it doesn't. It really didn't work for me in this movie because it just felt disjointed. If you took out the music in here and you just took out the non-linear storytelling, not only would it have been a better movie, but it would have been a half decent little movie. It's not going to end up being one of my worst films of the year. Sometimes you can make that kind of non-linear storytelling appealing to where you're really captured by the attention. But when you have this movie being told as an origin story to Mufasa's story, and you're bouncing back and forth to somebody that wasn't really there the entire time that Mufasa was born. If the way the story is being told to these characters accurate, maybe at one point in time, Mufasa did tell Rafiki his story, which I am assuming, but we've never seen that before. So to a certain degree, it can grind on your gears just a little bit, but really that side of the story could have just been plucked out of the film and you wouldn't have lost a beat. It would have been the exact same story, and I think it would have had a bigger emotional punch, because that's the one thing that I was really missing from this movie is just basically the emotional punch. I want to be able to sympathize with both characters because in The Lion King, I really enjoyed these two characters. They are great. Mufasa is great for the first little bit that he's in the film, and Scar is one of my favorite villains of all time. But it didn't really change the way that I see these characters in The Lion King. It just made me hate some of the characters a little bit more for the original version. So it kind of changed my view just a tiny bit. But this movie just didn't breathe enough life into this franchise. I love Lin-Manuel Miranda's music. I think he is a fantastic songwriter. But the music in here just wasn't catchy. I just wasn't really invested in any of the music. Quite frankly, I've already forgotten half of the music. Whenever we would have a musical numbers, I kept forgetting that this was a musical. So if you just plucked out the music in this movie, and if you just plucked out the non-linear storytelling, because it really didn't need to be in this movie, not only would it have been a half decent little movie, but I think it would have been just a tiny bit better than what we actually got, because those moments were really grinding on my gears. Really wasn't the biggest fan of it, but overall this is a movie that is fine if you're just wanting to stream it on Disney Plus, which I'm assuming a lot of people will probably do. But overall it's mediocre at its finest. could have been better. But those are my thoughts on Mufasa the Lion King. Have you guys checked it out? Are you planning on checking this film out? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys for the next video.